heard about him. Friends, the best thing is that he is the Limca Book of Records awardee. That is the first of his achievement because he has made a national record holder. He is a national record holder for being the youngest professional to complete CA, CS, and ICWA together at the age of 23 years. So I think that is the biggest achievement, and the speaker today we have has got that privilege. And this kind of privilege doesn't come easy because the kind of mind he has, I think that is the reason why he could clear this together and registered his name. Now he has got a 20 years of post qualification experience in the area of listing, merger and acquisition, investor relationship, private equity, risk management, etc. He has worked with large corporates including L&T and Tata Group. Besides this contribution to this corporate world, he has also been associated with WIRC reference manuals and written many articles on various topics in the magazines published by various branches and regional councils. He has been a regular speaker on merger and acquisition, on stock exchange listing and other related topics with various professional institutes. Presently, he is running his own consultancy firm. But when I read that he has got a 20 years of experience, I thought whether how it is possible he is looking like a 23-year-old boy and how he can have that much of achievement and that much of experience. Friends, with these few words, I would like to invite the today's speaker, CA Amar Kankaria ji. Before concluding my opening remarks and this introduction ceremony, I would also like to thank CA Santosh Kadam, who has been a bridge between branch and the speaker. Because of him, we could reach to him. Now, I would request to the speaker of today's session, please take charge of the session and guide us. Thank you.
Thank you, Santoshji. Actually, I just now told you had been very kind, and thanks for your kind words again. So nice of you. Thank you. Just give me a second. I'll share my screen. It's visible now, right? Is the screen visible?
Yes, yes, it's visible.
Perfect. Thank you. First of all, I'm thankful to Navi Mumbai chapter for inviting me and giving me an opportunity to share my views about today's scenario, which is a very tricky scenario, very complicated scenario. And for all of us, it is happening for the first time in our lifetime because this is something which is unprecedented. So we are going to discuss about the negative side of this scenario, what is happening to the businesses. Most of the businesses are bleeding. And can there be any strategy? If at all there is any strategy for revival, can we as a chartered accountant play any role for revival of the businesses? But friends, before we start the session, all of us, I'll just take your 1 minute on this. All of us will appreciate that the lockdown has started in the month of March and we are in the month of August. This is almost 6 months, right? And all of us are healthy, all of us are fine, fit and fine, in a position to attend this session. And the entire credit goes to COVID-19 warriors. There are numerous doctors, policemen, healthcare workers, sanitary workers, government officials who are working selflessly for our benefit, for our protection, and they certainly deserve kudos from our side. If you agree with me that we are attending today's session due to all the efforts of the COVID-19 warriors, I request all of you to put a simple thanks in the message box as a part of our respect to those sanitary workers, to healthcare workers, to COVID-19 warriors, because of whom we are still today safe, we are still fit and fine, we are healthy. So friends, let's start with the session today. Uh, we are going to discuss about MSMEs. What is MSME? Micro, small, medium enterprises. Everybody is aware of it, right? In fact, everybody is aware of it only since May, when Atmanirbhar package was launched. Prior to May, what was the case? Of course, all chartered accountants were aware about MSMEs, but normal people, general public, they were not aware about it. What is MSME? Micro, small, and medium. There are two categories in this: a manufacturing company as well as a services company. There used to be different norms. There used to be a 25 lakh, 5 crore, 10 crore kind of a limit for manufacturing. And old norms, there used to be limit of 10 lakh, 2 crore, 5 crore. Why there were different norms? Why there were different patterns for this? Nobody is aware of it. But government gave a thought And Modi Sarkar thought, can there be a unified pattern? Of course, they thought and they had done that. Now there is a simple norm with an investment of 1 crore, 10 crore, and initially at the time of Atmanirbhar, it used to be 20 crore. Now it is made 50 crore rupees. Why did they increase this? The government also thought initially when the norms used to be 10 lakh rupees of investment or 25 lakh rupees of investment or 2 crore rupees of investment, most of the companies, in order to get benefits of MSME is a priority sector lending. I'm sure most of you might be aware of this. So in order to get the benefit of MSME, they continue to prefer young, they continue to prepare small. And that's why even when there was a need to grow, even there was a possibility to grow, those MSMEs continue to remain small always. That being the case, the government thought there has to be growth. They came out with new norms and they came out with a norm of 1 crore, 10 crore, 50 crore now. And they also added turnover to it because initially there used to be many companies having investment of just 2 crore rupees, but turnover of 500 crore rupees or 100 crore rupees. And those companies, they used to get the benefit of MSME because they used to meet the norm. So government gave a rationalized decision. They link it with investment as well as turnover both. So we need to meet both the criteria: the turnover of up to 1 crore rupees, a turnover of up to 5 crore rupees, and investment of 1 crore rupee. It is a micro enterprise. For small, it is 10 and 50. And when it comes to medium enterprise, investment of 50 crore to 50 crore rupees. Somebody will say, what happens to chartered accountancy firm? We are also eligible to get registered ourselves as a MSME firm. But unfortunately, most of the CA firms, they are not registered as an MSME. Why a chartered accountant should be registered as an MSME? We'll discuss about it. But practically speaking, why MSMEs are so important? Why government is giving so much of importance to those companies? I'm sure all of you might be aware. Even a mighty king was once upon a time a crying baby. So the companies which are small today, those can be unicorns tomorrow. You take every large company today, those companies used to be MSME at some point of time in their lifetime. Take Ola, take Oyo, take many Sterlites. You can even take Z Group companies. Those companies used to be small when they at the initial phase, but over a period of time they continue to grow and they continue to grow spectacularly. That being the case, Make My Trip, nobody had thought around 25 years ago that Make My Trip will be unicorn. Nobody had thought about Ola. Nobody had thought about Oyo. But these companies are making pride and these companies are taking India to the global level. So government thought about it and government thought, can there be a potential? So a simplified norm has been suggested. Investment of 1, 10, 50, simple funda to remember. Up to 1 micro, up to 10 small. And if it is 50, medium size, turnover is just 5 times of that. So 550, 250. This being the case, very simple structure has been proposed and it has been implemented as well. At the time of Atmanirbhar, for medium-sized enterprises, they had got 20 crore rupees of limit, but that has been revised to 50 crore, and that has been followed now in the Gazette as well. Why MSMEs are so important? MSMEs are hearts of the economy, and believe me, friends, this is not valid only in India, but across the globe. You go to any developed country or developing nation, MSMEs are playing very critical role. Even in India, there are 6 crore enterprises. Uttar Pradesh is having around 14.5%. West Bengal is having around 14%. Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu, they're having around 9% each. Such a vibrant sector, and all those MSMEs are actually distributed in three categories: manufacturing, services, and trading. And these are almost one third each. For MSME registration, a company which is into manufacturing and services can be registered. Trading company cannot be registered as an MSME. There is a different logic for it. We'll discuss about it. But as far as Atmanirbhar package is concerned, the benefit is made available to trading companies as well. We are always happy that India is growing at 6, 7, 8%, which is a very great growth rate when we compare that with the rest of the world. But MSMEs are growing at more than 10% per annum, and that too for last many years. If you see your portfolio, you might have seen there has been some correction in the value. COVID-19 is one reason, but despite COVID-19, many stocks are doing very well. If you're having banking portfolio, then you might have seen there has been massive reduction in the bank valuation. Why it is so? Like MSMEs are playing a critical role, and that being the case, more than 16% of the bank borrowings is dedicated to MSME. Can you imagine at this point of time, uh, all of us are from Mumbai. Mumbai metropolitan region is one of the worst affected sectors in entire Asia. In fact, the kind of lockdown what has been implemented over here, no other part in India is having such kind of a steady lockdown almost for last 6 months, right from March to August. And that being the case, what can be impact on MSMEs or big companies which are situated in Mumbai? Being the financial hub, most of the large companies, their headquarters are situated in Mumbai. And that being the case, the MSMEs which are registered, which are linked with those large companies, they're also having connectivity with Mumbai. If MSMEs are not going to do well, what will happen? For sure, there might be some default. If there is a default, then it will result into impact on the profitability of the banks, and that's why the bank stocks have come down. So the reason of bank stocks coming down in your portfolio is actually linked with MSMEs to a large extent. MSMEs are playing very crucial role, very pivotal role in Indian economy. They contribute for more than 45% of the industrial output, and more than 40% of total exports are related with MSMEs. Almost 12 crore people are employed by MSMEs, and they contribute around 30% of GDP. So around one third of the domestic workforce is employed by MSMEs. But what is happening with this is such a vibrant sector, giving so much of important products, so much of export. 40% export is contributed by them, but hardly 25%, not even 25% MSMEs are registered with MSMEs, Udyog Aadhaar. Why it is so? According to me, the primary reason is lack of awareness about it. The people are not even aware about the what kind of benefits are available if you are going to get registered. There are numerous benefits which are available. In fact, there used to be a website called msme.gov.in, but since last month it has been changed to champions.gov.in. More than 3 dozen schemes are available, but some of the important schemes, the most popular scheme is CGT MSA, which is now highlighted because of the Atmanirbhar plan, which has been launched by the government. The MSMEs are getting collateral free loans up to 2 crore rupees. They're also getting 1% interest rate concession. The incentives which are offered for MSMEs, if you are planning to set up a business, what happens? You're planning to set up a business, you will be needing some machinery or technology. You can go for CLCSS for domestic purposes. And if you're planning to import it from abroad, then you can go for capital goods. You can purchase the capital goods from abroad, and you can virtually import the capital goods at as low as 0%. And in worst case scenario, it can be 3%, which is a very nominal rate of duty. They're also giving you various benefits with respect to subsidy for patent registration, ISO reimbursement charges, but some new initiatives which the
Amar sir,
government. Sorry,
sorry, sorry to interrupt. I think the PPT is not yet started, right? Just
it
to
is
confirm.
started. It is
No,
started.
no, we are not able to. We are not
Yeah,
able
we
to
are not
see it.
able to
Oh, is it?
It's not visible to
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah.
I'm extremely sorry. I thought why it
So
is so.
We can see your
visible,
screen,
sir.
but
Your screen, but PPT is not open.
Why it is so? Thanks for telling me. Actually, just a minute. Even now, it is not visible, right?
No,
No.
now the screen share is also not there.
I hope it is visible now.
Yes,
Oh no.
Yes,
Now
it's now visible.
Oh, I am
Thank you.
extremely sorry for this.
Okay.
Extremely sorry.
Now, yes, it's okay now.
Perfect. Thank you. So, friends, we're discussing about MSMEs and what kind of a role is there for a chartered accountant. We also saw about MSMEs are hearts of the economy. Why MSMEs are hearts of the economy? They are playing very important role, pivotal role. 45% of the industrial output, 40% of exports, around 12 crore people which are employed, which is around one third of the domestic workforce, and 30% of the national GDP, which is really huge. This is such a vibrant sector, but awareness about the benefits which government is offering to MSMEs is something which is very, there is a limited awareness about it, and the registrations are paltry 25%. What are the key benefits of registration? There used to be a website called msme.gov.in. Now it is champions.gov.in. There are more than 3 dozen schemes which are available. The most important scheme is CGT MSA. Collateral free loans are which are offered to out of MSME, micro, small, medium. Collateral free loans are offered only to micro and small enterprises, and there is a 1% interest rate concession which is offered. Then, if you are planning to purchase goods to set up your company, or you are planning to purchase a technology, you can get benefit of CLCSS, that is Credit Linked Capital Subsidy Scheme. And if you're planning to import from abroad, you can go for EPCG benefit, that is Export Promotion of Capital Goods. You can import goods at a very concessional rate, 0%, in worst case scenario, 3% duty. Of course, there is some export obligation which you have to meet, but at the end of the day, you can start your business at a very cheap rate. 50% subsidy is offered for patent registration. ISO certification charges are also reimbursed. The most important things, the new initiatives which the government has taken is something which is interesting. They launched the trades platform. What is trades platform? There is a company, for example, auto component company, and they're supplying some goods, for example, to Tata Motors. Tata Motors is a buyer. Tata Motors is having more than 500 crore rupees of revenue. So all companies, whether they're private or public, which are having turnover of more than 500 crore rupees, they have to get themselves registered with the exchange. There are multiple exchanges like RXIL is there, M1 is there. These are for receivable discounting. So small auto component company is raising an invoice on Tata Motors. Tata Motors is registered, vendor is registered. Tata Motors is accepting the invoice, and then there are financiers who are ready to discount that invoice. So practically, in case of Tata Motors, had I supplied something, I would have got my money at the end of the 89 days. Normally, many of the large companies are having 89 days policy. So I had got my money after 89 days, but the moment my invoice has been accepted by Tata Motors, of course, it is unsecured. It is not a secured channel. It is unsecured channel, but now it becomes a tradable invoice in the, and there are different options. It can be I'll be able to get the best possible rate, and if I like it, I can discount it. I can get the money for myself. RXIL has been launched by National Stock Exchange, and there are a couple of other stock exchanges which are very aggressive on this, including M1. The most important factor, if we are registered as a MSME, like I'm sure all chartered accountants are also facing challenges when it comes to recovery of money. Friends, if we are registered MSME, if our CA firm is a registered MSME, as per MSME Development Act, every payment to MSME, whether it is for services provided or for goods supplied, has to be made within 15 days. If there is a delay beyond 15 days, then you can get benefit of Samadhan scheme. Samadhan, there is a website called samadhan.gov.in. You can raise a claim over there. You can raise a dispute over there, and it will be settled within 90 days. In fact, if there is a delay beyond 45 days, then in addition to the principal amount, the actual receivable amount, we are in a position to get additional money in link with the bank interest rate. So this is something which is very important at this point of time when there is a huge shortage of money everywhere. And if you are having clients, all the clients which are into MSME categories, which are registered MSME categories, this benefit through Samadhan is available only for registered MSMEs. This is not something which is covered under Atmanirbhar. But practically, if you are having registered MSME clients and their money is stuck up somewhere, then you can help them to get benefit of this Samadhan scheme and recover that money. Then in addition to that, it is also made compulsory for all CPSEs, Central Public Sector Enterprises, to procure at least 20% of their goods from MSMEs. And there is a online channel called Sambandh. So through Sambandh, these orders are placed. We spoke around 10 minutes ago why trading companies are not given benefit of this. Since CPSEs have to procure at least 20% of their material through Sambandh, it has to be purchased from domestic players. If a trader is also registered as a MSME, for example, there is a trader and he's having some multinational companies agency. For example, he's purchasing some goods from China and supplying it in India. Then the purpose of 20% purchase through the domestic player will not be getting served. And that is the only reason why MSME registration is kept only for the domestic manufacturers and domestic service providers. It is not allowed for traders. And third important thing, the challenges what most of the MSMEs face is with respect to the manpower. Getting skilled manpower is a big challenge for them. And in order to address that, in fact, many of the people are not getting right jobs and MSMEs are not in a position to get the right talent. In order to address that, the government has launched Sampark scheme, and it is mix and match between employer and employees. All these benefits, more than 3 dozen schemes are available on champions.gov.in. To start with, all CAs can get themselves registered with MSMEs and get the benefit of timely payment for the services, for the valuable services, what all CAs are rendering to the people. And once you are getting yourself registered, then you'll be having double the confidence to convince your clients to go for MSME registration and get similar benefits. Friends, MSMEs, there are 6 crore MSMEs, which is really huge. We are a 130 crore people country and 6 crore MSMEs are there. But how many startups are there? Startups is a buzzword nowadays, at least for last 5 years. And every day, whenever we see Economic Times or Business Standard, a lot of information is coming for there for startup. What is startup? Startup is something which is very, very niche sector. Yeah, there are 6 crore MSMEs, but how many companies are there which are registered as startups? Hardly 60,000 companies which are registered as startups. how many startups are recognized? There is a process of registration and there is a process of recognition. Around 50% of that, around 35,000 odd companies are recognized. How many companies out of those recognized companies are having benefit to get angel tax benefit? What is angel tax? Initially, there used to be numerous cases. All of us are chartered accountants. We might have seen tax laws as well. 100 rupees shares getting issued for 1,000 rupees or 10,000 rupees, and income tax used to have a lot of queries on this. And that's why, in order to prevent such kind of practices, they introduced angel tax few years ago. Startups have been given exemption. But which kind of startups have been given exemption? Recognized startups have been given exemption. So recognized startups, they have to apply in particular form number 2 to DPIIT, and then they'll be getting benefit of angel tax. So what is the benefit? 30,000 startups are recognized startups. 60,000 are total registered startup. 30,000 are recognized. Hardly 1,500. To be precise, 1650 startups have got angel tax benefit so far. By getting angel tax benefit, you can raise money up to 25 crore rupees from private individuals as well. Means you need not raise money only from VCPs or NRIs. You can even raise money from private individuals, HNI investors. You can access those market, and the valuation can be decided by you as per your convenience. That is the benefit which is available if you're having angel tax benefit as a recognized startup. And finally, the most important thing is ATIC benefit, that is interministerial board approval. All of us are aware that startups, they don't have to pay any taxes for a period of 3 years, right? But how many in a country of 130 crore people with 6 crore enterprises, how many companies, how many startups are having the benefit of ATIC? Not even 1% of the recognized startup. Not even 300 companies are having zero tax benefit. This is something which is very, very interesting thing for us to know, because like for example, Navi Mumbai, you are surrounded by chemical company, you are surrounded by huge software companies. There has been a fantastic industrial zone. I'm sure if you're going to have a critical look at the portfolio of your clients, there might be huge number of clients who might be in a position to have a startup benefit. But what is happening? Most of the chartered accountants, they're so busy in taxation, accounting, auditing, they're not in a position to devote their time or take interest into new initiatives. Like if any of your client, you're going to get it registered as a recognized startup and then get ATIC benefit, believe me friends, there'll be huge number of investors who will be ready to invest in your startup, because that is something which is all of a sudden an achievement on its own. So what can be registered, which are the eligible entities for it? It can be a registered partnership firm or LLP or a private limited company. According to me, registered partnership firm or LLP, this kind of structure can be avoided, because any investor who is going to come in startup, he'll be coming with a long-term horizon. And if he's going to come with a long-term horizon, he needs to have some clarity on the exit. Private limited company can be the best suitable option. That entity should be less than 10 years, and it should not be formed by way of a restructuring. It should not be demerger, acquisition, no splitting up, no closing of the business. It should be a new vanilla venture and not linked with any of the companies, any of the previous businesses. Its annual turnover should be less than 100 crore. It has to be innovative approach. It should be a scalable model. This innovative approach comes, it is related with both. It is related with manufacturing as well as services as well. There can be innovation, there can be modification, or there can be upgradation of the existing service or products. It should be a scalable business model. It should be having a very high potential to create wealth as well as creating employment. So once your client is meeting all this criteria, then you can suggest him to go for startup registration. And that is something, believe me friends, it can be a game changer. What is the process to go for startup? Incorporate a business, then go on Startup India and register yourself. Get clarity on the tax benefits. There are different sections, 56 to 80 IC, different sections. Get clarity on that. Go through the process of recognition. Initially, the process used to be very complicated, but now they're going for self-declaration as well. You can just submit proof of concept. You can submit a video. You have to submit some few KYC document, and if they're in order, you're immediately getting a registration number. And if everything is ordered, certificate is also issued after verification. So registration of startup, around 60,000 startups are registered, 30,000 are recognized. Out of 30,000 recognized startups, hardly 5%, 1,500 to be precise, 1650 startups are having angel tax benefits so far, and not even 300 startups have got ATIC benefit. So there is a huge potential, friends, because if you see Navi Mumbai chapter, like I'm from Vasai branch, and in Vasai branch we are having around 3,000 chartered accountants. I believe same is the case with Navi Mumbai branch as well. So even if one chartered accountant is going to have one recognized startup with him, still the numbers will be really huge. And if you can get benefit of a TIC or even angel tax benefit, it can be something which can be a huge value creation for that particular client. Startups used to grow. Of course, they'll be growing in future as well. Currently, there is a temporary slowdown, and thanks to COVID-19, India is the third largest ecosystem. Of course, the top two are America and China. And when it comes to startup, the kind of success stories what India has got, these are numerous. There are plenty of success stories, right from Zomato to Oyo to Ola, many companies. So the returns are really having huge variation. If startup is something, it can be close at any point of time. It can be zero, but for successful startups, it can be even 1000x. It has gone to that level. Indian startup ecosystem is maturing and it is likely to boom. Why? Because global investors are getting attracted to it. So there is increasing investment by global players, and government has taken various benefits like Startup India. Why there is so much of benefit? Why? What kind of benefits Startup India has given? I'm sure you might be aware about some schemes what ICI has taken for the benefit of members. In the last month, they introduced various schemes. Around one dozen schemes were introduced. A few softwares were given. A lot of softwares were given at concessional packages. Friends, you visit startupindia.gov.in. Right from cloud computing to legal support to documentation support to accounting softwares, most of these softwares are offered free of cost to you for recognized startups. And there are more than 100 schemes which are available under different regulations. Different service providers are offering different concessions. So huge support is given by the government thanks to Startup India. So local startups have started. As a result, local startups have started to access global market. You might have seen Oyo has gone abroad. Ola has also set up shop in London. There are numerous examples like this. McMytrip is also a global player now. So what is happening with startup? These are basically tech-enabled businesses. They're having a scalable model. There is some new concept, or it is modification of a new concept or upgradation of a new concept. And it may or may not be getting into new market category, but there can be multiple stages for sure. Seed stage, that is a starting point. It can be a proof of concept. This can be research and development, prototype, and product development. That is called seed stage. Early stage is testing the market and launching initially and to get a feeler in the market. And growth stage, once you're successful in the market, can you scale it up to the next level? So there are still important stages wherein the investors are coming. If you are going to get your company through ATISA benefit, that is interministerial board approval for zero taxation, whether at seed stage, early stage, or growth stage, it can be a huge game changer for that company at any point of time. So this is briefly about the startup, but what is happening? Startups were booming, and even MSMEs, they were always growing at 10%, more than 10% for last so many years. What happened to that? In fact, all this site, whether startups or MSMEs, everything is bleeding now. And what is the reason? Reason is only one single reason: COVID-19. It has been a massive setback to economy. The first chart which we are seeing, the first chart is important chart. That is the BSE Sensex. I'm sure we are in the financial capital of India, and being finance professionals, many of us might be trading in the capital market. That being the case, if you see your value of your portfolio in the month of January, when Sensex was all-time high, it was at the peak. Even in the February, the valuation of your portfolio was steady. But in the month of March, particularly when the COVID-19 was announced, what happened? Immediately in a span of just few days, I'm not speaking about months or quarters, I'm speaking about just few days, the market has crashed by more than 30%. In fact, BSE's trading used to be suspended at least multiple times because of 20% load circuit, and that too on repeated basis. So capital market crashed by 30%. Sensex is linked with large companies. So large companies crashed by 30%. When it came to small and medium enterprises, the crash was even higher. Many of the companies have crashed by 50, 60, 70%. This is for capital market. When it comes to actual confidence of the decision making place, it is controlled by PMI, that is Purchasing Manager Index, which is linked with the confidence level of the decision makers. We are speaking about composite PMI. Always it used to be in the range of 45 to 55. 50 is average. If you're less than 50, there is a scope for improvement. But if you are more than 50, then the economy is going to do good because the decision makers are confident about taking future actions. In the month of March, particularly in the month of February, it used to be as around 57. From that level, next month, lockdown was announced, COVID-19 was there. It crashed to just 7, 57 to 7, then it went to 14, and currently it is in the range of 38. Still, there is a long way to go. PMI has crashed like anything. Same is the case with industrial production. It has crashed by around 18% in the month of March, 17% odd. And no data is available for industrial production, at least with the research agency, which is authorized research agency to do it for the month of April, May, June, and even July, the last month. Hopefully, July data should be made available now, but at least for last quarter, no data was available with this. So, what is happening, friends? Stock markets are crashing. There is no confidence of the decision makers in the economy. When it comes to industrial production, it is also having a negative growth, abnormally negative growth. So, what can be the case? What can be the solution for this? According to me, finding a solution. Everybody wants to find a solution for this. In fact, there is a negative this is a negative era, and for sure hopefully the vaccines will be available, and which will be supporting the mankind. But what will happen with the businesses? People can save their life with the vaccine, but what will happen to the businesses? Can there be some strategy? Honestly speaking, nobody has a strategy, but if we are going to give a try, perhaps the solution lies in the word strategy itself. Perhaps we can define it: survival till revival, and thereafter ensuring growth on year basis. There are three important words to remember: survival to start with at this point of time, which is a critical time, revival, and followed by the growth. We'll have a discussion on three important things: survival, revival, and growth. Big countries, everybody is aware of it, right? Brazil, Russia, India, China. All these big countries, they used to have a great party. All these countries used to grow at abnormally high rate: 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15% on year basis. But thanks to COVID-19, this party has stopped now. And why it has stopped? Everything is visible. There is no business which is happening. Even global trades are not happening. Nothing is happening. And the condition is extremely bleak, extremely bad. In fact, this party has stopped abruptly, and it has damaged most of the economies. Most of these economies are going to go into negative zone. In fact, even Indian economy, initially there were reports that there'll be zero growth, but now there are numerous reports which are coming for huge downfall in the growth rate, negative growth. If you're going to see the sectors, those sectors we can categorize into three categories: worst affected sectors, moderately affected sectors, least affected sectors. Generally, worst affected sectors: hotels and restaurants. Worst affected. More than 30% of the hotels, they're not going to open the shop again. And these are independent reports. You just do a Google search, you'll find it out. When it comes to travel, right from air travel to railways to road travel, everything is badly affected. In fact, you see the stocks of automobile companies, they're also doing very, very poorly. Tourism, in this era of social distancing, nothing is going to happen. Forget about tourism in the current year. It will be a surprise if it is going to happen in the next year in a big way what used to happen in the pre-COVID era. There is a long way to go for travel and tourism sector. Same is the case with realty and malls. In this era of social distancing, who is going to go to malls and how it is going to happen? Malls are closed in Mumbai metropolitan region since March. Even today they are closed. Hopefully it should be getting open in the next week. But friends, this is something. 6 months malls are closed. The kind of overheads what mall owners are incurring, they're really huge, and they're first affected because of this. Realty, there is a massive correction in the real estate, and the correction is yet to come. That's what many of the experts are still saying. So these are worst affected sectors, and the challenge for them is how to survive. When it comes to moderately affected, these sectors are not directly dependent on that, on COVID-19 related things, but still they are moderately affected, like logistics, non-essential travel, non-essential transportation of goods impacted. Textile, people are taking a stock. Metals, people are still taking a stock and taking a decision whether it is a need to buy or no. These are moderately affected. The least affected sectors, FMCG and consumables, come what may. You'll be needing a soap to take a bath, or you'll be needing eatables, you'll be needing food items. So FMCG consumable, decently working. Pharmaceutical sector, health is important, and COVID-19 has re-emphasized on that. Pharma companies are also, most of the pharma companies are doing, barring few. And education. In this country of 130 crore people, everybody wants to have bright future for their kids. And education is for sure is a least affected sector. But friends, there is a struggle for finance across all the sectors, and survival of the fittest is going to be a key mantra. Why there is a struggle for finance? When it comes to worst affected, the challenge for me is how to survive. If I'm a moderately affected sector, the challenge for me is how to revive. And if I'm least affected sector, my challenge for me is how to grow. For survival, I'll be needing money. So I'm a travel company, or I'm a realty company, or I'm a mall company. I'll be needing money to survive at this point of time. Even if I'm a logistics company or metals company, I need money to revive because I like to revive. And if I'm a company, I'm a pharma company, I'm an education company, I'll still need money because I may be interested to tap so many opportunities. I may like to go for reduction in the competition by acquiring a smaller player, or I may like to diversify, or I may like to tap new opportunities. That being the case, the money is required at this point of time across all the sectors. And who understands money well? Of course, chartered accountants. We are known for our domain expertise in the finance. In fact, you check all the sectors and you see portfolio of your clients, how chartered accountants are playing a critical role in it. Honestly speaking, when the person decides to start a business, he calls a chartered accountant, sir, I want to set up a company, I want to start a business. Then you'll guide him whether he should go for a proprietorship or partnership. He'll start the business, he'll test the market. After that, he'll again call you, sir, I'm doing good, can I go for corporate? Perhaps at that point of time you may help him to go for corporate, or a company secretary will come for secretarial compliance. If the business grows further, perhaps cost audit may come applicable, and cost audit, once it is applicable, perhaps cost accountant will come in the picture. Again, there is a growth. He may think of listing. He may go plan to go for private equity. Investment bankers, merchant bankers will come, and then he'll be ultimately creating value creation for everybody. But if you see the overall cycle, right from inception, right from idea, chartered accountants are there in the picture until the final stage. Chartered accountants are always going to be there, and nobody can understand the business what a chartered accountant can do. And at this point of time, when there is a huge destruction across the sectors, according to me, the chartered accountants are best placed to save those MSMEs, not only MSMEs, even large companies. But since we are going to focus at this point of time on MSMEs, chartered accountants are in the best place to say, friends, this is a gloomy day and everything is blank. In fact, it is not only black, it is blank as well. Nobody is aware. In fact, I'm also blank. What is to be done now? Because I'm not in a position to go to my office for last 6 months. Even today, my building, Navjivan Society, is sealed compulsorily. And still I'm fortunate that I'm healthy, I'm fit and fine, and I don't have major liabilities. But that is not the case with most of the MSMEs, which are already having huge loans. Many of the MSMEs are on the verge of collapse. The employees are losing the job, and it's everything is, it's everything is dull. It's so depressing. So what can be the solution? Is there anybody who's going to support us? Of course, for sure there is a support, and government is very keen to support for survival of MSMEs. In fact, kudos to our finance minister and Modi ji for taking timely decision, for taking the best possible efforts what they had done. Lockdown was started in the month of March. In the month of April itself, they launched with liberalized working capital scheme, and they offered 5 crore rupees of funding at substantially lower margin, 10% stocks and 15% on receivables. I believe Navi Mumbai had a lecture on SME lending as well a few days ago. So you're aware about what kind of limits are required. So 10%, what kind of a margin is required, you're aware. So 10% on stocks and 15% on receivable is something which is peanuts considering the margins. The government has also started speedy processing of refunds. More than 25,000 crore rupees of refunds had already been allotted by income tax department, which is very, very huge number. We are still a developing country. We are having a lot of limitations, right? 25,000 crore refund, good number. There are numerous benefits which are offered. TDS rates are decreased. Government is also paying for the contribution of the provident fund. Then global tendering has been allowed for projects only if they are more than 200 crore. So now domestic companies can play for it, can go for it. Relaxation in the provisions for insolvency and bankruptcy code is done. There is going to be relaxation till the current year, current financial year up to March. And they also came out with a good scheme to release the money from the PSUs and government departments in just 45 days. These are something, these are widely talked about. I'm sure all of you are aware. But I just take this opportunity to draw your kind attention to three important numbers which are launched with Atmanirbhar package. There is one guaranteed emergency credit line of 3 lakh crore rupees, collateral free automatic loan. 20,000 crore subordinate debt for stress asset and 50,000 crore rupees equity infusion through fund of funds for listed companies. What is 3 lakh crore collateral free loan? If your MSME is having any loan which is outstanding for less than 60 days, SMA 0 and SMA 1 category, as on 29th of February, then if the amount of loan is less than 25 crore rupees, then that company will be eligible to get 20% of that. It will be automatically credited. You have to just give an application to the bank and bank will process the application. No collateral will be asked, nothing will be asked. It will be given as a separate loan. No processing fees will be charged. There will be no prepayment charges. And this will be for a period of 4 years with a moratorium of 1 year for paying the principal. Very nice scheme. Around 45 lakh MSMEs are going to get benefit of this. So 3 lakh crore loan is there. That is collateral free loan automatic loan for all good companies which are having less than 60 days of default, no default, which are not defaulted, and outstanding of less than 60 days. More than 45 lakh MSMEs are going to get benefit of this. Then there will be a lot of companies which will be having outstanding dues for more than 60 days or even NPAs. So if MSME is NPA during any of the last 2 years, or if it is having more than 60 days of default, then there is a 20,000 crore subordinate debt scheme which has been introduced. This scheme will be available for a period of 10 years. The funding will be made for a period of 10 years, and per MSME, the maximum funding will be up to 75 lakh rupees. And the duration of this will be 10 years with a moratorium of 7 years for principal repayment. So this is again very interesting scheme which will be going to get benefit for 2 lakh companies. Okay, so 3 lakh crore which is available for 45 lakh companies, 20,000 crore for even NPA companies which are available for around 2 lakh companies, MSMEs. Third important factor, which is MSME, 50,000 crore equity infusion through fund of funds. And believe me, friends, most of the people, they're so happy to see this 3 lakh crore number, which is huge number considering the Indian economy. 20,000 crore is also a very decent number, but most of our fellow professionals, they did not focus on this 50,000 crore. And I seriously don't understand why. What the scheme says, what Atmanirbhar package says, it has allocated 50,000 crore equity infusion through fund of funds for listed companies. The important factor is listed companies. In initial two cases, 3 lakh crore, partnership firm can take, proprietor can take, cooperative society can take, anybody can take, even a retail shop wala can take the money. In initial two cases, everybody can take the money. But the third case, the 50,000 crore rupees is earmarked for listed companies. We are in the financial capital. I'm sure many of you might be having listed companies as the client as well. How many listed companies are there in India? Hardly 5,000. How many companies are getting listed in India? If you see historical trend, not even 500 companies are getting listed on year basis. So friends, even if we are going to assume over next 5 years, 500 into 5, 2,500 companies are going to get listed. According to me, it is something which is not going to be possible given the historical trend. But even if we are going to assume, and 5,000 companies are there existing, the number is hardly 7,000, 7,500, right? 50,000 crore rupees is available for those companies. Out of those 7,500 companies, top 1,000, top 2,000 companies, they'll not be interested in taking such money. Bottom 1,000 companies or 1,500 companies, they'll be so small, they'll not be able to get the benefit. So there is a huge chunk which is available through equity infusion. And this is something which can be a real money changer, game changer for all the clients if you are helping them to get themselves listed. And this can be something which is huge value creation because you are getting sovereign funding. This money is invested into your company by Government of India's fund. Can you imagine Government of India's fund is coming as a joint venture partner with you, as a financial partner with you? It will give you global access. Wherever you are going to go, you are in a position, you are much better position to get money from abroad as well, and getting a lot of intangible benefits because Government of India fund is your joint venture partner, is your strategic partner, financial partner in the company. So, and the most important factor, 3 lakh crore collateral free loan, whether you are going to get 5 crore or 2 crore or 1 crore, you're still getting it as a loan. It is returnable. 20,000 crore rupees per company can maximum get 75 lakh rupees loan. It is still returnable. When it comes to 50,000 crore equity infusion, Government of India's fund is taking stake in the company and they'll be exiting that stake through capital market. This is something which need not be returnable by the company because the money is going to be raised by selling the stake, and further that money will be deployed into investment into other promising companies. So I sincerely suggest, given the kind of advantage what we are having, PAC head offices in Mumbai, NAC head offices in Mumbai, SEBI head offices in Mumbai, RBI, LIC, you take any large financial institution, they're having presence in Mumbai, they operate from Mumbai, and we are also in Mumbai. Can we do something good for our clients by taking benefit of this? According to me, yes. And if chartered accountants are not going to do it, then who can do it? Nobody can do it. So this is a great opportunity for everybody, every chartered accountant, to focus on this 50,000 crore rupees of equity infusion. I'm not saying that you should not be going into collateral free automatic loan. You must help the clients to go for it. You must help the clients for 20,000 crore subordinate debt, but have a vision to go for equity infusion, have a vision to take the company to the next level. Can you help your client to get government of India's fund as a financial investor in the company? If you can do that for your client, it can be certainly a huge value creation what you'll be doing with your client. So friends, uh, survival, government is going to take a lot of efforts for that. Of course, survival cannot be controlled by the chartered accountants. What we can do, we can provide guidance to our clients. Of course, yes, we are best placed to do that. The first and most important factor is to focus on core activities. What is focus? What is core activity? According to me, nobody can understand what is core activity better than a chartered accountant. Remember our golden days when we used to study for chartered accountancy. We used to focus on a particular subject, on a particular grade, on a particular topic, on a particular group, and we used to come out with flying colors. We used to pass the exam. If you're a bright person and you're having focus, for sure you can be a chartered accountant. But other way is not valid. If you're a bright person and you don't have focus, getting completing chartered accountancy is a key challenge. Focus on core activity is something which is not very new. It is fairly old. In fact, if you see Mahabharat, even at that time, Arjuna used to have focus on the target, and that's why even today he is considered to be the greatest warrior in the mankind. If we see around, there are so many large companies, and why they're large, they're having focus on the core activities. All these large companies, they're consistently focused on the core activity because they understand they're getting money for the activity what they're doing. They're not getting money for the diversified activities. On the contrary, if you see your portfolio and just have a look at your existing clients, most of the MSMEs, for example, those MSMEs are, we saw some time ago, they're renting so many valuable services. They're exporting so many goods, and they're contributing so much to in 30% to GDP, giving employment to 12 crore people. But all those great people, MSMEs, are doing a great job. And after paying so much of taxes, what is happening to them? If they're having few thousand excess rupees available with them, perhaps they'll call their advisor and they'll say, boss, kuch tape hai kya? I want to put my money in the capital market. He doesn't understand the capital market. He'll take the tape, he'll put money in that. No problem. Very good idea. If he's having few lakh, perhaps he'll buy a car for himself, or he'll buy another car and give it to Ola or Uber or any other carpooling company. I need something which is additional revenue. If he's having many lakh rupees, then perhaps he'll go for additional purchasing of a shop or a flat, and then he'll give it on rental. I need to have some second source of income because there are so many seminars which are happening. You must have a second source of income. Very good idea. And if you're having few crore rupees, what will you do? Perhaps you'll launch your own real estate project. That's a nice idea. You must diversify. But what happens when situation like this comes? I'm saying COVID-19 is not something which is abnormal situation. Such kind of depression or economic slowdown had happened in the past as well. So whenever there is an economics downfall, what happens? At that point of time, if you're having some money invested in the capital market in some unknown company, you're stuck up. If you're having a car which is going given to the carpooling companies, for sure Uber, Ola have started plying on the road since last month. But prior to that, even for last 3 4 5 months, they were not on the road. The cost of maintenance is something which is incurred by you on incremental basis. If you're buying a flat or and giving it on rent, what is going to happen? Are you going to get the rent? There are so many litigations which are coming up, and for sure there'll be even larger number of litigations which will be there after the lockdown opens completely. And if you're having a real estate project, only God can save you. So what is happening, friends? We must help the client to understand. Like for example, all of us, we are getting money since we are chartered accountants. If you're having clients which is into software, which is into chemical, which is into packaging, any kind of industry, he's getting money for his core activity. He's not getting money. People are not going to pay him money for buying a car and giving it on rent or buying a flat. We must help them to understand that they need to focus on core activity, because only focus can help them to successfully overcome the challenges. Second important factor is profitability vis-a-vis cash flows. At this point of time, right from government of India to all large corporates, everybody has taken a conscious decision, and all future capex, all non-essential activities have been temporarily kept on hold. For sure, everybody will like to grow and everybody will like to have maximum profit. All large companies will like to have maximum profit, but still they have kept capex on hold because there's understanding the value of the cash flows is much more at this point of time vis-a-vis the future profitability. Cash flows cannot be delayed at this point of time in order to have incremental profitability or maintain the existing profitability. So we need to help the client to understand if it is possible to postpone any kind of a capex to conserve the cash at this point of time, then it will be better because they should not be incurring unnecessary losses in order to meet future profitability. The stop loss is something which is important. There might be many SMEs, MSMEs. Like for example, we just spoke about MSME taking some stake in a real estate company. If that real estate sector is bleeding at this point of time, and even if there is an opportunity to get exit from it, even if there is some loss at this point of time, perhaps you can advise the client to stop the losses, to stop further bleeding, cut the loss making company, cut the loss making unit. It can be part of your MSME or it can be outside the part of the MSME. And this is something which can help you to survive for a longer period, because if the losses are going to mount, survival will be a critical challenge. And while doing all this thing, the most important factor is legal compliance. Unless and until it is done with complete legal compliance, it will not be serving any purpose. And since we are finance professionals, we are experts in doing all regulatory compliances. We have to advise, we have to provide end-to-end solutions to the clients. Cash administration is a key for revival. Of course, to start with, there can be a possibility to develop a cash control room with every MSME of a decent size, and all decisions which are related to whether cash payment or receipt or any other activity related to payment, it should be taken by key people. And as a chartered accountant, we can contribute in that. We spoke, chartered accountants understand the business very well. And can we use this expertise to develop a customized MI system for the MSME company? And in addition to that, in addition to everybody is doing revenue budgeting, but in addition to MI system, can we also add cash budgeting? Because cash is very, very rare resource at this point of time. And the situation is going to be still in the similar fashion, at least for next 6 months or so. That being the case, can we help the client to develop cash budgeting model? It can be on weekly basis, monthly basis, fortnightly basis, quarterly basis. At least for the current financial year, we should be helping that. All large companies, they're having very strong MI system, and that's why they're large. If you see MSME, hardly any MSMEs will be having a strong MI system. But at this point of time, all CAs can support their clients to develop such MI system. Focus on revenue maximization, develop opportunity pipeline using technology. A famous computer training institute in Mumbai, they're having around 100 centers. And thanks to COVID-19, since March till today, and even for the current month, all the centers are closed compulsorily because it is not allowed. Education related activities can be done only online. The promoter did not stop. He launched some of his courses online. He tapped this opportunity. They were having zero online presence. But during COVID-19, they launched online courses. They've got good number of admissions. Something is better than nothing. Had he not done anything, he would not have got anything. He took the chance. He took some initiative, and he has got thousands of admission, which is very, very good. Exploring alternate revenue streams, a very interesting activity. In fact, we are currently advising a chemical company again in Kalyan Dombivli sector, and that chemical company was having underutilization of capacity. We saw their overall analysis. We suggested them, you're having 3 units. Can you just convert 1 unit and give it on rental basis to IT companies, because there is a good IT hub around and you're having a nice setup as well. And this is something which is practically working. I'm just speaking about a small example, but if you have a look at your clients, many of your clients might be having a potential to generate alternate revenue stream, and you can guide them properly in the process, because it will help the client in a long way. To start with, it will help him to survive or revive, but in the long term, with this alternate revenue stream, he can grow much faster. When it comes to receivable and payable management, approaching banks for temporary loans and factoring is something which is important. We also spoke about trades. In fact, factoring is something which is very, very normally done. We also advise a couple of our clients, a KPO company and similar other sector companies for factoring. But when it comes to payable, that is something which is important, because there are many companies which are taking blanket decision, stopping all the payment. This is something which is not going to happen. As a chartered accountant, we can identify which all are the critical vendors on which the business is dependent. We can renegotiate the terms. We can release the payment. We can advise the management to release the payment to them, but on renegotiated the terms, because it will something which will help to all the companies to identify the criticalness of the activity. Friends, cash is the king, and believe me, cash is always going to be the king. Cost reduction is mandatory. Wherever it is possible, we must help the client to convert fixed costs into variable costs. The revenue is not under the control of the client, but for sure incurring the cost is going to be under his control. So whenever possible, cost reduction is mandatory, and we must take a critical look into it. We had studied about marginal costing while doing chartered accountancy. Perhaps God has given us an opportunity to implement the functions of marginal costing at this point of time. Employee management. Employee management is very, very important. Brain to have priority over heart. Many of the employers, they're having soft corner affection for the employees. But what happens at this point of time when the organization survival is at stake? The brain needs to have priority over heart, and instead of having a big team, they can hire on demand reinforcement. Wherever there is an opportunity, the team can come, do the work, go out, and again wherever there is a next opportunity, they can come back again. But the most important factor when it comes to employee management, the promoter will have to lead with an example, with by his own example. We spoke about large companies, for example. Let's speak with the largest company. What happens? Reliance Industries, and the richest man is Mr. Mukesh Ambani. If you see any of your clients, how many people are there which are drawing the same salary what used to be there 5 years ago or 10 years ago? Hardly anybody will be there. If you see Mukesh Ambani, the richest man of India, he's drawing the same salary what used to draw last year, last to last year, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. For last 12 years, Mr. Mukesh Ambani is drawing the same salary. He's the richest man. He could have taken his salary to any level, and under the Companies Act, under the Income Tax Act, he's having all kind of liberty. But still, he's drawing a nominal salary for the last 12 years, which is unchanged. And what is the benefit? He's getting a lot of benefits, which is already available in the public domain. He's leading by example. Can there be a possibility of similar pattern for MSME clients? If you are going to educate MSME clients, instead of increasing your flow, salary flow, and then thereby increasing the salaries of other people as well, can you lead by example? Can you have some pattern what Reliance has adopted? It can be helpful. This is just an example. Then understanding government policy is something which is important. Government has taken so many benefits, so many schemes for the benefit of MSMEs. Unless and until MSMEs are aware about them, nothing can be done. Registration of MSMEs used to happen with Udyog Aadhaar, but since last month it has been shifted to Udyam. So both the websites are currently functioning, Udyog Aadhaar as well as Udyam. It is taking slightly longer time to get the registration done, but it is happening. So helping the registration of MSMEs. But to start with, all chartered accountant firms should get themselves registered, and then they'll be in a better position to tell MSMEs to get registered for themselves. This is something which is ignorance of law is not an excuse. So understanding government policy is something which is compulsory, not only for the MSMEs, but even to their advisors, like all chartered accountancy firms. Then we are going to speak about raising equity funding for growth. We spoke about survival, revival, how the growth is going to happen. The growth is going to happen when you are going to get money. That money can come from where? Banks is one source which most of the MSMEs used to tap so for last so many days, so many years. But there are some external sources like venture capital fund, private equity funding, angel funding. I'm sure all of us are aware about these terms, but very few are practicing into that. So we can advise the client to go for venture capital for a private equity. And why it is so? Why? We spoke about the largest corporate, Reliance. You see Reliance. Reliance is the largest corporate. For Geo, they had taken private equity funding during lockdown when everything was bleeding, when everything was the situation was dull. Reliance was raising money on weeks after weeks, and they had raised more than 1.5 lakh crores since lockdown, since the start of the lockdown till now. That is something which is really huge money. They're the largest player. They're the most valuable company. Mr. Mukesh Ambani is the richest person, but still he went for it. Why? There are golden words which are said by his father, icon of Indian industry, Shri Dhirubhai Ambani. These are golden words which all of us must remember. I'm repeating it for you. If you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team. What does it mean? If I'm a MSME company, how does it happen? I'm starting a business, I'm starting from zero, I'm taking it to 10 crore, 20 crore, 30 crore, 50 crore rupees. Very good number, fantastic number. I'm the king. But what happens? Can I grow further? Not really, because the way you're going deep in the ocean, there'll be shark. The way you're planning to go to the next level in the business, there'll be business sharks, there'll be business tycoons. You need to have some support. And in critical situations like COVID-19, you must have to have support. What is happening? If you see the market at this point of time, there are 99% companies that are having very, very dull and negative sentiment at this point of time, but less than 1% companies, they're very, very good, including Reliance. They're doing exceptionally good. Why it is so? Because they're having support from the venture capital funds, private equity funds. They're going with a team. They're going with a strong team of investors who are ready to back them. So the client is having two options. He can be 100% stakeholder in a 50 crore company. Very good idea. But according to me, instead of having 100% stake in a 50 crore company, I may be in a better position to go for 50% stake in a 100 crore company if I'm having right partners. So as a chartered accountant, we need to educate the client on this. And finally, accessing capital market. There is a separate slide on listing on this. So, and that is something which is very close to my heart. So I'll discuss it separately. But friends, we spoke about various challenges, what those MSMEs are facing. There are operational challenges, receivable, payable management, employee management, cost reduction, understanding the government policies, making tax payment, managing the banks. All these things are very critical. And at the end of the day, paying taxes to the government, doing regulatory compliances. This is something which is too much. I'm sure all MSME companies, they're very, very vibrant people, they're dynamic people, but still, this is too much. And the MSME promoter is a man, he's not a superman. So he'll be needing assistance from the expert, he'll be needing guidance from the experts. And if he wants to survive and revive. And according to me, the CAs are best placed to assist all the businesses, whether they are registered startups, recognized startups, startups in the process, MSMEs, registered MSMEs, unregistered MSMEs, all kind of businesses. Many other people actually they're saying this is a great opportunity for CAs. I'm sorry, I differ with those arguments. According to me, it is not an opportunity. It is a responsibility on us, because unless or until MSMEs are going to survive, survival of chartered accountancy firms, which are directly dependent on the businesses of their client, is going to be very, very challenging. We are there in the market because our clients are there in the market, and it is a responsibility on us. It is a responsibility on us because we understand their business well, we understand the intricacies very well. And that being the case, if you're not going to help the client at this critical time, then who's going to help them? So don't consider it as an opportunity. Try to help your client. Perhaps you may have to go for a different mechanism, different mix and match, but certainly you can do that. And there'll be many, many things which you'll be able to do it. Like, for example, many people are saying there is a uh, Atmanirbhar package, there is a 3 lakh crore loan. What is happening if the client is not getting? Like, for example, just chartered accountancy firms. All these are MSMEs, right? So chartered accountancy firm, hardly any chartered accountancy firm will be getting any benefit under Atmanirbhar package, that guaranteed emergency credit line. No problem. Our CA Institute has come out with a scheme of 9.99% or 10.99%. GSTPMA has come at even low rate at around 9%. In fact, there is a local branch in Bayandar, which is Vasai Janta Bank. They're offering at 8.75%. As a chartered accountant, if you are aware about so many resources which are available, so many opportunities which are available, and if you're going to talk with those banks or those NBFCs, they certainly help you to offer some benefits for your client, to offer some financial assistance to your clients, which will help your client to grow, at least to survive at this stage and in future to grow. So this is something which is responsibility on all the chartered accountants. And believe me, if you are going to do it properly, there can be a miracle in the next year to come, because COVID is temporary, but businesses are going to be forever. And the guy whom you are supporting at this critical point of time, the person will be always going to be with you in the days and years to come. Friends, while taking those initiatives for revival, there has to be creativity also, because taking initiative is one thing, doing legal compliance, managing all the show is one thing. But if you are going to adopt creativity in the process, it can be a game changer. Adoption of digital model, very interesting thing. All of us are aware about Shri Motilalji Oswal, a fellow chartered accountant. Motilalji Oswal is having a stockbroking firm, and it's a very old firm, and this is the leading stockbroking firm in India. They're having more than 6,500 employees. They reported their maximum turnover in the month of April, and at that on 18th of April, at the time of lockdown, with less than 50 employees which were functioning at that point of time. Digital model, physical presence with digital model, it made wonders for them. Usage of online tools for business. This is something which is again very interesting. As hello, hello. I believe there is some disturbance, right? No, thank you. So usage of online tools for businesses. Again, very interesting thing. Most of the people, they used to have physical touch. Physical touch is important. You need to have some relationship with the client, but online tools now, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, entire world is my home. I can sell my goods anywhere and everywhere. I saw a few of very good friends of mine from Ahmednagar. Those guys are doing so well. They're supplying their goods to Kashmir. They're supplying their goods to Kanyakumari. They're supplying their goods to Northeast as well. Why? They're aware how to get the orders online. They're using online tool. Hiring professional for optimum result. All of us are professional. We understand the value of the professional approach, and we should also advise MSMEs to hire professionals. Perhaps they're planning to go for digital marketing. The client can do everything on his own. There is no doubt about it. He's a great man. That's why he's running a business. But if he's going to do everything on his own, it is going to take a longer time. Can he go for the software specialist or digital marketing SEO specialist and take the business to the next level? Of course, yes, he can do. He may incur some cost, but he'll be getting the guaranteed result for it. Offering extra value to the customer, everybody needs something extra. That is a trend, and this is happening. In fact, a lot of coaching classes, they have started offering some extra. You are taking tuition for your classes, they're offering you abacus or spoken English or other courses free. It is happening across the sector. Offering extra value to customers is something important. Tapping opportunities with local first policy, particularly with this 200 crore rupees global tendering process. 200 crore is a minimum benchmark for global tendering. So all tenders which are less than 200 crore, now there is an opportunity for local players. As a chartered accountant, we are having great association and we are connected with so many statutory authorities, regulators, and people across different industry. Can we help? Can we identify such opportunities, tendering opportunities and related businesses and help our clients to tap them? Perhaps we can do that. Developing M&A roadmap is something which is very interesting, wherein all chartered accountants can play a role. M&A, many of the people think it is only acquisition. Not really. It can be acquisition, demerger, amalgamation. It can be anything and everything. There might be an opportunity for your client. Perhaps he's planning to close down. There is a challenge for survival. You can tell him, can you wait for some time? I can help you to get some money out of it. If he's going to close down, he'll not be getting anything. If we can help his company to be acquired by some other person, he'll be at least getting something out of it. There is a good opportunity. And if you are fortunate to have some of the clients which are into happening field like pharma companies, education companies, and they're having a lot of money with them at this point of time, you can help those companies to diversify into other activities, acquire smaller players, or make some strategic investments which can help them to grow their existing business in a faster pace. Then M&A roadmap is, as a chartered accountant, since we are having technical, commercial, financial, all kind of all around knowledge, every chartered accountant is best placed to take the benefit of that. Peer partnership is something which is very simple. Enemies turning into friendship. Small companies which are having diversified and multi-locational presence, those guys are now trying to consolidate their holding, consolidate their offering. So a player from one player is getting into barter. So one company will be focusing on one area, another company will be focusing into another area. This kind of things are happening. There might be many other things, but creativity is something which is essential because revival and survival, of course, government support is going to be there. Our knowledge is going to be there, but client need to be having creative approach. Unless and until creativity is going to be there, quick revival may not be possible. And once there is a survival revival, what will happen? Growth is going to come. Friends, last 6 months, I'm sure many of us are also facing challenges. Our clients are facing challenges. Entire economy is facing challenges. World is facing challenges. But there are 50 plus investments which had happened. There are more than 50 companies in India which have already raised money since March. कौन कहता है आसमान में छेद नहीं होता? एक पत्थर तो तबीयत से उछालो यारो. All those 50 plus companies, they believed in themselves. They realized the value of their offerings and then they took the benefit of it. There are several sectors and investors are very keen to invest in them. It starts with medical supplies, ITS, telecom, consumer goods, agro products, fintech, mobile banking, healthcare, diagnostics, e-learning. There are several sectors. Geo has got more than 1.5 lakh crore rupees of investment. It's a huge number, right? But even if you take out Geo, one single sector, e-learning. If you see the e-learning sector prior to March 2020, prior to COVID-19 era, hardly any investments were made in e-learning sector. E-learning was happening. Byju's was there. Vedantu was doing something. Unacademy was there. Udemy was there. But investments were happening at a very, very slow pace. But what happened? Thanks to COVID-19, there are 50 plus investment. In fact, in this COVID-19 era, in this lockdown era, e-learning sector has raised more than $500 million. One single sector, e-learning, very, very small sector, raising $500 million at this point of time when there is a huge cash crunch in the market is something which is amazing. And why it is happening? Thanks to the P and VC funding. They're so bullish because India is a country of 130 crore people. If there is a right model and if it is presented properly to the investors, there is a scope for us. Fortunately, we are in Mumbai. Many of the VC funds, PE funds, even government-backed funds like SIDBI fund, they are in Mumbai. SIDBI is having their own fund, and there are, practically speaking, all large fund houses. They're having offices in Mumbai. That being the case, can we take some of our clients to those PE funds, VC funds? I'm not saying now. Perhaps you can take them 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line, 2 year down the line, whenever the situation is normal, as per your convenience. Can you take them to PE funds and VC funds, and can you help them to take it to the next level? Perhaps there is a possibility. What is important is you need to understand the business properly. You need to present it properly. If you are having a right business, if it is presented well, if it is taken to the next level, if it is taken to the P and VC funding, then there is a very high possibility of you getting the funding if it is done nicely. As a chartered accountant, all chartered accountants have a very interesting role to play in it. Friends, we spoke about Geo. I'm just sharing you data for the 50 days period only. 50 days period. It started from 22nd of April. Even 1 month for lockdown was not over at that time. Lockdown had started on 24th of March. On 22nd of April, Facebook had acquired around less than 10% stake for 43,000 crore rupees. And then in a span of less than 50 days, Jio had raised more than 1 lakh 5,000 crore rupees of investment. This is something which is huge. In fact, up till now, they have raised more than 1.5 lakh crore rupees of investment. That is something which is a tremendous, humongous. And why they could do that? They could do that because Mr. Mukesh Ambani rightly followed the policy of his father. If you want to go far, go with a team. He wants to go far. If you see the kind of investors what are there in the company, they are some of the best investors. KKR is there, General Atlantic is there, Mubadala is there, TPG is there, Abu Dhabi Investment Authority is there. Can you imagine Geo is present at this point of time only in India? The kind of investors what Geo has attracted, those investors are having global repute, and those investors are having very dominant position in the country of their origin. That being the case, perhaps there can be a possibility of Geo going global. If that happens, that can be a matter of pride. That can be a moment of pride, not only for us, but for every Indian. And that is something which ideally can be, means that is something which ideally might be a vision of the promoters. But for sure, Mr. Ambani has mentioned that he's planning to take telecom and retail businesses public in next 5 years, and this is a step towards that. So raising 1.5 lakh crore rupees of money by dilution of around 33% stake is something which is a great achievement by Reliance Group, and this is something which is a great achievement at the time of lockdown period. Before we start, I'm actually at the I'm at the final stage of my presentation. Before I go to listing, I'll just take this, I'll take you a few moments to explain about the background, what used to happen in India. If you see historically, I'm sure most of you might be knowing about it. At the time of our great grandfathers, there used to be a lot of shortage of money, and a lot of shortage of money. People used to, very few people used to have money, and whatever money used to be there, that used to be kept at the home, or it used to be buried under a tree. Then Britishers came, they started bank, and our grandfather and the senior people, other senior people in the family, they started depositing money over there. Then people started buying jewelry, people started buying agricultural land, then residential flats. Over a period of time, there was more awareness. They started buying, putting money in the stock markets as well. They started going for mutual fund. At least, particularly after demonetization, there is a lot of craze for mutual fund. Mutual fund hai to sahi hai. Very rightly said it is. But if you see the historical pattern, the money is there, and money is not kept with us. We are giving it to a lender. We are giving it to a, sorry, we are giving it to a jeweler. We are giving it to a real estate company. We are giving it to different kind of people. And what is happening in the process? The money is not with us. We are having something different than that. And if you see practically, the money is available with the person who is not using it for the purpose it is required. You take the SME company, MSME company, he's putting so much of effort, he's putting in so much of, he's giving employment to so many people, giving so much of taxes. But what is he doing? He's purchasing shares of some companies which he doesn't know, or he's buying some real estate which he may or may not be in a position to utilize, or he's buying some assets which are of no use to him. Why is he not using his money for his own business? Everybody has told us that you must diversify. All eggs should not be kept in the same basket. I fully agree with it. But nobody has told us that when should we diversify. If at all we have to diversify, nobody has taught us that we should go to a particular stage. We should have an industry leadership position, And then we should be thinking of diversification. What happens? You are a 25 crore company. You take out money from there. You put that money into some other non-performing activity. You get stuck up over there. And practically the core business which you are doing, for which you are getting money from the people, that business gets affected. You're diverting your time, money, energy, resources into a non-core activity. That non-core activity, anyhow, you don't have expertise in that. So you are losing money on that and you are losing your core business as well. So why this should be done? You take every large corporate house. I was fortunate to work with few of them. Start with Tata Group, L&T Group. You start with Sterlite Group, Birlas, Ambanis, Adanis. All these large companies, even if they're having excess resources, I'm sure all of them are having huge excess resources. We have never seen any news item that Mr. Birla had acquired shares of 50,000 or 50 lakh or 50 crore rupees. There'll be no such news items. If at all any financial investments are done, that may be routed through treasury operation, but in a very, very rare case. And all the investments, all those large corporate houses they're doing it purely for strategic purposes. But what is happening in this country of 130 crore people, we are also following the pattern, and our promoters are taking their resources and putting into non-core activities, putting into other listed companies, because nobody had told them, why don't you get yourself listed? Practically speaking, everybody had taught. There will be numerous examples, there will be numerous sessions wherein will be taught you can buy a particular stock at a right valuation. You have to invest, when you should sell, when you should buy. There will be a lot of training which will be given, but nobody had given us a training. Why can't we go ahead in the market? Why can't we get ourselves listed in this country of 130 crore people? Can we have 130 investors? Of course, yes. If you can have 130 investors, why don't you get yourself listed on a SME exchange? If you are going to get yourself listed on ISM exchange, the next stage you can migrate to the main board. You can create value for yourself. As a chartered accountant, I personally feel all the participants who are attending this meeting, they should have a critical look at their portfolio and they should educate their clients. Why can't you get yourself listed? Perhaps many of them might be having conservative approach. Perhaps many of them might be having traditional Indian mentality. कम करेंगे, छोटा करेंगे, but हक से करेंगे. Friends, take the pure Indian company, Patanjali. Patanjali, Baba Ramdev, everybody is aware. Patanjali is having a listed company. In the month of December 2019, just 6 months ago, to be precise, around 7 months, 8 months ago, they acquired a company called Ruchi Soya through IBC, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, for an amount of 4,500 crore rupees. In the last month, the same Ruchi Soya stock, it had a valuation of 45,000 crore rupees. 4,500 crore is my acquisition price. In 6 months, it touches 45,000 crore rupees. Nobody can give the return what a capital market can give. For sure, some investigation is going on. That will be a technical aspect. We are not going into details on this. But what I'm just saying is that even Patanjali thought of getting itself listed, and Patanjali had done it successfully. And for sure, if Patanjali can do, if they can have if they are ready to access the capital market, perhaps many Indian MSMEs should be coming forward and try to tap this opportunity to access the capital market. So how should listing be done? There are total 4 stock exchanges which are operational right now. That is Kolkata Stock Exchange, which is a regional stock exchange, and there are 3 nationwide stock exchange. NSE is the largest, National Stock Exchange, BSE, and third one is MSCI, Metropolitan Stock Exchange of India. Only 2 stock exchanges, that is NSE and BSE, they are most popular at this point of time, and 85% of the trading happens on NSE. Balance, most majority portion of the balance is with BSE. Listing is the ultimate tool to unlock the value. Listing can be done again by 2 mechanisms. There are 2 boards on NSE and BSE both. One is main board, NSE and BSE. Another is SME board. So BSE, SME, and NSE emerge. IPO is possible on the main board or SME board. There are concessional norms for startup and SME listing by BSE SME exchange. On BSE SME, there is again a separate category for startup. All these SME listing can be done if you are having 3 crore rupees of tangible assets, 3 crore rupees of net worth, and you are having profitability track record in at least 2 years out of last 3 years. But due to COVID-19, BSE has given a relaxation. If a company is having 1.5 crore rupees of net worth and 1.5 crore rupees of tangible assets, and if it is having at least 1 year of profitability out of last 3 years, still you will be able to get listed. And if you are a recognized startup, we spoke about startup. There are 30,000 recognized startups in India. If you're a recognized startup, you'll be having an opportunity to get yourself listed on SME board of BSE. even if you are having tangible assets and net worth of just 1 crore rupee. So these are concessional norms for the time being due to COVID-19, which has been introduced by the stock exchange. If somebody doesn't want to come out with an IPO, either on the main board or SME board, then he can even opt for reverse merger or open offer, like what Patanjali had done. Patanjali had acquired a company, Ruchi Soya, got itself listed, and now it will be interesting to see what kind of a future Ruchi Soya will be having. But now Patanjali has got listed. Patanjali has got one of its company listed. So what kind of benefits avenues are available? As a private limited company or as a partnership firm or a proprietorship firm, I can just go in the market and take money from the banks. But if I'm a listed company, then I have many additional avenues which are available. I can go to the bank, I can go to the financial institution, I can request them to take equity stake in me. In addition to banks and financial institutions, foreign institutional investors, mutual funds, there are multiple options which are available. Private equity funds, VC funds, they're always going to be there, but that is applicable for unlisted companies as well. But mutual funds and foreign institutional investors, they compulsory invest in the stock markets through listed companies. And the most important factor is fund of funds under Atmanirbhar package. You're having a sovereign fund which is coming as a joint venture partner, which is not possible for unlisted company. So if you are getting yourself listed, you're having an opportunity to access sovereign funding as well through fund of funds of Government of India. And once you're doing this, ultimate your destination will be overseas listing. You can actually, I had also worked with foreign currency convertible bonds, but there are numerous companies which are working on ADS and GDS. FCCB is also a very nice pattern which is available, and you should be working on overseas listing in the final thing. So friends, listing is something which is actually a game changer. And if you see in India, there are hardly 5,000 companies. We are 130 crore people. You see all richest people, who's who. Every rich person is associated with some listed company. You see Fortune 500 companies, and you see richest people in the world. All those richest people in the world, they're also associated with listed companies. If you also want to be rich, if you also want to be following the footsteps of Tata Birla Ambani's, then why can't you get your company listed? All those companies, all those groups, whether it is Tata's, Birla's, Ambani's, Sterlite, L&T, they're having multiple listed companies across different sectors. They are having a company which is having a dominant position, then there'll be another company, another sector, another dominant position. And there is an economic cycle which goes on. At some point of time, some sector will be up, some sector will be down. But because of the diversified presence and listed status, they are in a much better position to manage the show when a COVID-19 situation like arises, as compared to an unlisted company having focus on a particular sector, a small diversified things like having some cars or some shares on some listed stocks. The listed companies which are at diversified sectors might be a better portion, a better proposal, which can be proposed by chartered accountants to their clients as well. So this is about listing. It's something which is a great topic. We can even discuss for a one full day on this, but I'm just limiting myself because we are going to focus on MSMEs. And now I'm coming to the conclusion. CA, we have to play a role as a friend, philosopher, and guide. Friend is a person who cares for you, right? Philosopher, a person who knows something. He's having some divine knowledge. And guide, he's having care for you. He's having some great knowledge, and he's guiding you properly. Since inception, for last 7 decades, all chartered accountants are known for the world-class services for audits, accounting, tax consultancy. We know various structures: proprietorship, HUF, partnership, cooperative society, private limited company, various structures. We also help clients for a various registration. But what has happened? Since March, there is a lockdown. COVID-19 lockdown has happened. And there are all of a sudden, there are a lot of emerging avenues. Can we help our clients for startups? We just spoke about less than 300 startups having zero tax benefit. It is huge. And there are so many global investors which are interested to put money into ATIC registered startup. Opportunities will be limitless in that case if we can get any of our clients to get such recognition. Loan funding is possible. We spoke Atmanirbhar. Not everybody will be able to get Atmanirbhar package. Like many CA firms will not be able to get. But CA Institute has arranged something, GST PAM has arranged something, local banks have arranged something. So there'll be numerous opportunities. If CS can raise money for themselves, for sure they'll be able to raise money for others. IBC protection, there are a lot of litigations which are going to happen, a lot of challenges are going to happen. And as a chartered accountant, we can play a role. In fact, IBC is going to be a very, very interesting emerging area, particularly of the slowdown, particularly because of the crisis which has happened. And there'll be a lot of litigations which are going to happen, a lot of interesting opportunities which will be coming in future. If any of you are looking for further updating your knowledge, perhaps you can explore the possibility of IBC. Risk management is the key. All large corporates, whether you start with Tata's or L&T's or Ambani, they're having very strong risk management team, which takes care of all unforeseen contingencies and help the management to tackle them properly. So we can also explore possibility on working into risk management. In fact, there are some Tata Business Excellence model, which is a final stage of the risk management mechanism. There are some classic business excellence models which had been launched in India as well. This is a global concept, risk management, but many Indian companies are adopting it. Last three categories: transaction advisory, angel, and funding and capital market. These three are very close to my heart. Transaction advisory. I'm not speaking only for mergers or acquisitions or sell off. Perhaps there can be a global opportunity. You are having a good company and there can be some better targets which are available for acquisition. You can advise your client to go global, or vice versa. You're having a good company over here, some global investors are looking into it. You can help those global investors to take stake in your clients. That can be a good value creation. Cross border advisory, it can be demerger, it can be any kind of a structure which you can do within the four corners of law. Something which is very interesting, because transaction advisory was actually considered to be monopoly for large CA firms, but nowadays many small CA firms are also actively working on it, because they understand their client well. And if you're understanding your client well, then you'll be able to present them well, and then you'll be able to create value for them. Once the situation is normal, then perhaps you can explore the possibility of angel funding, VC funding, PE funding. Perhaps there can be a possibility your client is already having lots of money. He doesn't need funding. No problem. If he's having money, you can help the client to park his money with right set of companies and get some value addition out of that, which can be useful for his existing line of business as well. So it can be two way. If your client is having money, you can help him to invest that money properly. If your client needs money, then for sure you can help him to tap VCP and angel funding. And finally, at the end of the day, try to follow the pulse of wisdom. Just see the valuation, what Reliance has done, Tata's had done, Birla's had done, that ethically and properly tap the capital market opportunity. If your client really wants to follow the footsteps of Tata, Birla, Ambani's, then certainly you can guide him to take it to the capital markets. Friends, to start at the start of our session, we thank all the COVID-19 warriors, and so nice of you. It was a kind gesture on the part of every participant. Perhaps we are also having a similar role to play. Every COVID-19 warrior has helped. There are around 15 lakh patients in India, out of which around 10 lakh, 12 lakh patients are already recovered. And the credit goes to COVID-19 warriors. Thanks to them. And those 10 lakh, 12 lakh families are happily dependent on those patients. So all those families are happy. You take every MSME, you take any MSME, there'll be at least one dozen or hundreds of family which will be dependent on them. If it is a medium-sized company or a small-sized company, there'll be hundreds of families. Even if it is a small enterprise, micro enterprise, there'll be at least one dozen families which will be directly and indirectly dependent on them. That being the case, there is a huge role for us to play. What will happen if we are going to be playing role as an economic warrior and we are going to help them at this point of time? It will be helping for survival of MSMEs. Once the MSMEs are going to survive, there'll be revival in the economy. And once the economy is going to revive, Modi is having a dream of having $5 trillion economy. That dream will be, it is not Modi's dream alone. It is a dream of every Indian, yourself, myself, all of us want Indian economy to be $5 trillion economy. And as a chartered accountant, if we are going to play an active role at this point of time, certainly Indian economy will be a $5 trillion economy in the years to come. For sure, it is not going to happen overnight, but 5 years down the line, perhaps we can be a $5 trillion economy. And why chartered accountants are best placed? I'm not saying that chartered accountants are best placed to do it because you are a chartered accountant and I am a chartered accountant. Not at all. We are best placed to do it because we are there right from Kashmir to Kanyakumari. We are there from Bhuj to Arunachal Pradesh. Every single portion of India, chartered accountants are spread. Even if out of 3 lakh members, what we are having, at least 1 lakh members are practicing chartered accountants. Even if one member is going to think of helping the survival of at least one dozen MSMEs by going extra mile, it will be resulting into saving crores of MSMEs, millions of MSMEs. More than 1 million MSMEs will be saved. And more than 1 million MSMEs, even if you are going to assume at least 50 or 100 dependent families on them, will be touching the lives of crores of people. Thanks to the, our CA Institute is already a partner in nation building, and we are having a great opportunity to re-emphasize our position towards as a partner in nation building. Before I conclude, I'll just take this opportunity to share a small story. There was a small boy who was standing on a seashore. With every passing wave, a lot of starfish used to come on the beach. He used to catch few of them and again throw them back to the water. A person went to him and he asked, "Hey, little boy, hey, child, you're a small person, your hands are small, and you're again trying to do something for the starfish, but you are just helping few of them. You just cannot help all the starfish which are coming to the beach." That boy said, "Yes, sir, thanks, I understand it. I certainly cannot help all the starfish which are coming on the beach, but as an individual, I'm at least trying to make a difference to the starfish which I'm throwing back to the water. As an individual chartered accountant, perhaps I may not be able to make difference to all the MSMEs, but as a chartered accountant, as a strong team of 1 lakh chartered accountant, perhaps we can make, even if we are going to do difference for around a dozen MSMEs, will be touching lives of crores of people, and that will be a service to the mankind, service to the society, service to our mother nation. Friends, this is the final conclusion slide, and thanks for your patient hearing. Thanks for bearing with me for last 1.5 hour. Mumbai is still closed, so I'm assuming world is closed, but world is closed for innovation. It is closed for the betterment, for the safety of the people. For sure, there'll be grand reopening very, very soon. The suggestion is to adopt new normal, be positive, and just remember 3 keywords: survive, revive, and grow. Thanks a lot. This was a presentation from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for the nice presentation. So I would like to take some questions which is posted by the members.
Okay.
Shall I?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So the first question here is the payment within 45 days is for micro, small, and medium, all 3 enterprise, or only to micro and small,
It is for MSMEs.
including
All
all the 3
All 3.
categories.
All the 3.
Okay. Now the next question is like investment will be verified from last IT return, whether we have to take last ITR written down value carried to financial year 1920 or gross block as per last audited accounts,
It should be WDV
as per Income Tax Act.
as per income tax return. In fact, it will be automatically picking up from there.
Okay. Next question here is, please elaborate funds of fund scheme. How we'll practically go for this fund for our listed company clients and through which platform?
Fund of funds, see, there were 3 important schemes. One was 3 lakh crore, for which guidelines have been issued. Another was 20,000 crore for stress companies, for which again guidelines have been issued. For fund of funds, the guidelines are in the final stage of getting issued. Practically, there will be one mother fund and there will be 3-4 funds which will be investing the money. And this money will be invested into the companies which are in the final stage of listing. So you're filing a prospectus. So prior to the listing, the money will be invested. Once the money is invested, that money will be that investment will be kept for a period of some 1 year something, and then after that it will be sold in the market. Again, that money will be coming back to the fund, which will be used for next investment round. But for sure, the guidelines are not yet finalized at this point of time.
Okay. And any platform where we need to apply or any website where we should go and check it, or what is the process, sir, here?
Once the guidelines are issued, then only we'll be able to comment. But
Okay.
SIDBI will be playing a critical role in it as usual.
Okay. We request your practical experience of SME listing with us. Please share your experience. So it will help us in you can say attempting for our clients in future.
SME listing, according to me, is very, very interesting concept because what used to happen initially, people used to how the business happens. The person starts with angel funding, which are his friends and relatives. Then he goes for venture capital funding, then private equity funding, and finally he goes to the listing. The government has thought, can you simplify the process? So you start the company, take some angel funding if required, and go for listing. Take the company to the next level, and then attract venture capital funding and other rounds of investment. According to me, there are more than 700 companies which are listed, and there are many, many success stories, particularly NSE listed companies that are doing huge value creation. Even there are quite a few good companies in PSC. Both the stock exchanges are doing well. If you're an NSE listed company, getting investors is the chances of getting good investors, including some VC funds or mutual funds, are higher.
And any reason why NSE is preferred more than BSE? I think like it is
Both are,
governed by SEBI regulations, correct?
no. Both the stock exchanges are good. I'm not saying that BSE is bad, but more than 85% turnover on in capital market is happening on NSE platforms. All the
Correct.
banks, financial institutions, foreign institutional investors, they invest money in the companies if they are NSE listed. Practically, there are 5,000 plus companies which are listed on BSE. NSE is hardly 1,500 companies, but still they are controlling 85% of the turnover, which is huge.
So liquidity is high in NSE in comparison with BSE.
Perfect.
Okay.
That's what investors feel. But according to me, both the stock exchanges are very good.
Okay. And the next question is, can reality estate firms be registered as MSME?
No.
Okay. So like if someone is building a project, there is a project, they cannot register. Real estate project is there, so they cannot register under MSME.
Yeah, according to me, no. Because you need to have either a product or a service.
Mm-hmm. Achha, my personal question here is, like, we have a platform called Trades where we can do our bill discounting work. So how it is going? Like, is it good? There are few private players also in this domain.
Correct.
So can we, like, can we advise this platform to our clients?
See, this is a very new platform. In fact, NSE had started around 4 years ago. This M1 had started around 2 years ago. And still there is a limited visibility on this front. People are very aggressive about it, very bullish about it. At the end of the day, this is bargaining which is happening. You are having a bill which is discounted and you are getting the best of the code. If you like it, take it. Otherwise, your existing banker is always there. So
Okay.
many of the time, existing banker is checking the code and giving you practical solution, which is better for you.
Okay. So like this particular platform is still developing in India. It is not yet fully developed or explored.
It is launch, but it is going to take some time to create visibility. Like SME exchange also, this is a fairly new concept. This has been in existence for last 6-7 years. There is a long way to go for us actually.
Okay. Okay. So I think these were the questions. Sir, any other questions, sir?
I think, yeah, Harshal,
Yeah.
I want to share one of my personal experience. This TEDx, which is a newly developed platform for bill discounting, has started doing well. One of my client has availed this facility. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, one of my client has availed this facility of this TEDx. He is a supplier for Reliance, and Reliance has specifically told to avail this facility, and he has started, and he is getting good results because some of the banks are bidding for his invoices, and he is that bills are being discounted, and all these facilities are being availed. So we should attempt it. I think with big corporates or the invoices which we raise to big corporates can easily be discounted and traded through RXIL. So that is what my experience has been. So we should explore these facilities.
Okay.
I have one more question from the speaker. That see one of it's my own question. One of my client, he is providing he is into the trading business. He's procuring the material and selling to the big corporates, and as well as he's trying to he's trying to give maintenance services, AMCs also of those products. So can we register to MSME and avail these facilities or not? So he's in trading as well as providing services. So what should he do?
See, practically, we spoke about restriction on trading companies. What happens in case of CPSE purchase, Central Public Sector Enterprises, at least 20% of the purchases has to be made compulsorily through registered MSMEs. That's why they are not going to allow registration of trading company as an MSME for sure. If your client is also into MSME, AMC business, perhaps he can split the AMC business. He can have a separate MSME for it and then do the registration. But if it is trading, then it will defy the overall purpose of the scheme, because practically why MSMEs are given so much of benefit and why they're giving so much of advantage. The clear logic is government wants them to grow. For argument's sake, your client is purchasing some goods from large corporate, from Reliance example. The Reliance is also supplying goods to CPSE, and your client is also getting registered as a MSME and supplying the goods. So the CPSE will be purchasing only Reliance goods. which is not desirable. They also want to give some encouragement to the MSME sector. So get AMC business out, get it registered. That can be a better option.
Sir, in case of MSME clients only, if they have the bank accounts in cooperative banks, the scheme is mentioned only in nationalized banks. So how they can get the loans then?
Yeah, the scheme has mentioned about nationalized banks, and actually,
The MSME clients are having bank accounts in this in cooperative banks.
true. In fact, many of the MSMEs are facing such challenges, and in fact, a representation has already been done to RBI, and they're looking into it. But the logic was simple. The logic was simple. They are told MLI, that is Member Lending Institution. So if that cooperative, many of the cooperative banks like Saraswat Cooperative Bank or Abhyuday, they are part of the MLI syndication, but not every cooperative bank is registered with them. So some process is happening on that front.
Otherwise, is a representation made to do this that additional loan can be sought through nationalized bank, though the
No, not possible. Not possible. Those cooperative banks will be given benefit of this scheme. Practically, it is related with that CGT MSC certification, that government guarantee. So
yes.
cooperative bank, if at all cooperative banks are aggressive and plan to help your client, they can give the loan, but they also want the government benefit. That's why they're holding on actually.
And secondly, a few banks are refusing the loans, that is additional 20% loans, saying that maximum quota is complete in your account. Somebody is having 3 crore loan CCOD facility, and
Okay.
he has applied for 20% additional, and the bank is saying no, it is not possible because we have already given you 3 crores, that is maximum limit for you as such.
No, it should not happen. It should not. That is illegal.
What type of strategies we can go ahead with?
Right to RBI, right to Finance Ministry. Even if you are going to put it on tweet, they're extremely fast on tweet.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Great.